Hello everyone and welcome. Sit back, relax, make a cup of tea or whatever you like to drink and get ready for new stories from YellowCat. Send your own favorite stories in the comments below and maybe they'll be in our new video. So subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed yet. Let's get started. When did you know you had to resign from your job? Part 3. One of the women I helped train asked to be put in charge. She was given a trainee management position with all the work but no pay. It was done on top of her regular work and should not take up more than 10% of her time. It was clear that this took up a lot more than 10%, and I had to do a lot of the work she wasn't doing. When it was finally time for performance reviews, she was given the job of doing mine. When I told my boss I didn't like what was going on, he didn't see the problem, so I told him I'd have to call our company's ethics line. He paid attention and asked me why I thought this was a moral matter. Even though I didn't want to cause trouble, I told her I wasn't going to sit down and let her tell me how well I was doing her job. In the end, someone above our boss sat down and told us it was just a girly fight and we needed to learn how to work together. But my boss made an exception and did my evaluation. He told me this was going to keep happening and that I probably wouldn't be able to avoid it next time. I told him it wouldn't matter since I wasn't going to be there. I wasn't, though. After the fact, I saw how badly that company treated everyone, but at the time, I mostly blamed her. Both of us got much better jobs after that. That business failed. I got a job at a local grocery store in the deli department. Took them a month to train me, which was a red flag. Then they fired the third closer and made that person work a nightly short shift, so I had to close both cases where we served customers hot food while making sure they had food that I cooked, like fried chicken pieces, green beans, and other things. And I thought I'd be able to leave every night around 9:30, but the extra work made my shifts last 2 hours longer. A lot of the time, the morning guys forgot to stock things and left me unprepared for my shift. One day, the oil holding compartment under the fryers were overfilled twice. Once because the person who cleaned it in the mornings didn't do it right, and again because I had orders for hundreds of chicken parts and forgot to take out the chicken breading bits that the morning guy also didn't clean. I started to oversleep and miss class because I had to work extra hours. I also had to commute for an hour every day, which cut my pay to almost minimum wage after gas. Some of my classes dropped me because I couldn't find a good way to balance work, sleep, and school. I had worked there for 2 weeks before the fryer mess, but after that day, I never went back because of that and the fact that my coworkers did nothing to help me. They filed for bankruptcy and went out of business about a year after I quit. This made sense to me because of the time it took me to get started and how they would push workers while also getting rid of things that were needed to make sure we all got off on time to save money. Having a job at a coffee shop while in college. Hired a great group of people. We were all calm. For a quick game or two, we set up an Xbox in the break room. We made some really great coffee and everyone had a great time. During this, I could say with confidence that I did not see or experience any workplace drama. It was wonderful. New people are in charge. She fires half of the staff right away and hires her friends instead. She just smiled at me when I asked why I wasn't fired. Right away, everything goes bad. Lots and lots of drama. Employees literally not serving some customers and a lot of drama. Holy crap, what a show. Our workplace went from having a lot of different kinds of people to hiring mostly Black and Hispanic people and making sure that women were always visible. There are 3 men who were hired to deliver coffee in the morning and keep things clean. Their not trustworthy behavior meant they couldn't work the register. The guys did enjoy it though, because they didn't have to clean or lift boxes all the time. They were relaxing in the back, doing homework, listening to music, or playing Xbox that was about to be taken away. Most of the time, they were paid to do nothing. When money started going missing from the register, the manager stopped and searched anyone she thought looked fishy. Like the few men we had in the back. When the manager started making everyone really uncomfortable, things started to get worse. She was always putting down her staff, and if you were a minority in any way, she would treat you like a child. However, you could ask for time off at any time, and she would give it to you at no cost. People left the store when someone kept stealing from the register. She kept checking the same people over and over again, but never found anything. She touched me and a few other people, but not her friends. In the end, half of the staff who weren't her friends quit. 9 to 12 people quitting all at once. Some left on foot, some called to quit, and some just stopped showing up at all. The manager and her friends were the only ones left. Still, cash was being taken out of the register. According to her, she called the police because she was sure that one of us was breaking into the building and taking the money. In less than a year after she took over, the coffee shop closed. It was terrible for our reputation that she checked everyone out in front of customers, yelled, made accusations, and other bad things. Before I knew it, I was almost done with college and ready to quit. She's on Facebook and still rants about it from time to time, and she's still searching for the culprit who stole money. Also, she never taught her friends how to actually make coffee. We tried teaching them, but they refused to learn, so screw them. I was hired to work at what I thought was a restaurant. Didn't take long to figure out that the owner was lost. The owner wanted to be the cook, but there was only me working there. She would ask me to be the waiter, the busboy, help with kitchen prep, be the barista, answer the phone, and prepare food for people who were ordering takeout. It got worse. She expects me to be there first thing in the morning to start everything in the kitchen for her, which is apparently illegal because I'm not certified to use the equipment, and then she'll scream at me for not having the front of the restaurant ready when she gets there. Screams at me when the phone rings in the middle of my shift because I'm serving or taking orders and I can't be anywhere else at the same time. Screamed and embarrassed me in front of customers so badly that some asked me if I was okay. I can usually keep a poker face, but I failed that day. When I told her I didn't like the soup of the day and wouldn't do her method, just stick your finger in there and lick it off to see if it was warm enough for the crock pot, she laughed. I had to wash spoons by hand during my shift because we didn't have enough. She was mad and told me I was wasting time and spoons. She didn't like how I poured the reheated soup into the bowls. It wasn't full enough. So she grabbed the bowl, filled it up, threw it back at me, and scolded me for spilling the soup. "Can't you do anything right? I can't always be here to hold your effing hand," she said. She was also known for saying she wouldn't pay us for any extra time we worked after the store closed. We should have cleaned up and counted the money by the time the sign said closed, but people kept coming in until we threw them out. We still had to clean, prepare, count the cash register, and take a break to eat for the first time in 10 hours. Sometimes we had up to 3 hours of work left. Then, when she asked me to pick her kids up and drop them off at school tomorrow morning, I said I'm never coming back. Best part, not surprisingly, her restaurant went under. After a few months, she came back to the surface in a nearby town. This time, she went under even faster. Could you share about a negative experience you have had with a homeowners association? Part 3. My parents were the first people to buy a house in their neighborhood before it was even finished being built. Their trash can had to stay on the front edge of the garage because of the way the house is built and the land around it. This is what they've done for 30 years. Our parents get a fine for not hiding their unsightly trash can when a new HOA president shows up out of the blue. The only place to hide it is at the terrible back door of the house. The neighborhood has real issues, like the person who runs a car repair business out of his garage, or the person who put up an unsafe, unlicensed playground in a public area. The president put in this strange dry riverbed walkway in her yard without getting permission from the neighborhood. She also often hangs her laundry out to dry in her front yard. Those are both things that are against the rules. But Miss President has spent the last 3 effing years on my parents' trash can. Last week, there was a final vote and enough people voted for my parents, and they got it in writing, that now they're allowed to continue doing what they've done all along. In the townhome community where I lived, there were those Smurf hut-style 2-story quad buildings. The homeowner's insurance that came with our HOA fees covered the building itself. There was a fair amount of damage all over the community after the 2004 hurricanes. Most of the damage was to fences, flat roofs, and shaker shingles on the front of the house. Everyone first tried to file a claim with the HOA, but all of them were turned down with a letter telling the owners that the HOA had decided to use the insurance money to replace all the shaker shingles and that it was up to them to choose a company and handle the job. Worked out for the best for me. My fence and flat roof were fine. The only thing that got damaged were the shaker shingles, which were already in pretty bad shape. We did a lot of shakers on people, though, and they were fine. They just needed a new fence or their flat roof was leaking. We asked to meet with the HOA so that people could talk about their problems. The people in the HOA just didn't want to hear it. You had to cross the HOA before you could file a claim so they could turn you down right away. Also, they pulled over every house and gave each owner a ticket for missing shaker shingles, basically making owners use their insurance the way the HOA wanted them to. The house was for sale, and the current owner was basically using the homeowners association to make the new owners use their insurance to fix up the house. They told us we could get a lawyer and sue, but no one was ready to do it. I tried to convince the owners to band together and hire a lawyer, but too many people either caved or were like me and actually needed new shakers. We had to stay there for a few more years before the market recovered because of the crash. We bought a new home that was far away from any HOA and rented the townhouse until the market came back. And in the end, everything worked out for me. But I felt bad for the other owners who had to do what the HOA said. A number of years ago, I worked for a company that managed properties. That experience alone made me vow to never, ever live in an HOA. People who worked for my company mostly worked on new developments. Holy crap, some builders were cheap as F. As far as I can remember, let me explain. A homeowners association, HOA, is set up at the beginning of a new development, but the builder makes most of the decisions for the HOA. A normal HOA board is made when certain members of units sell, but until that point is reached, homeowners are pretty much at the builder's mercy. The builder isn't going to make any crazy laws, but it'll be hard to pay for services and amenities. The bylaws usually say that the builder has to put money into a reserve, but when the units aren't finished or sold yet, this required reserve amount isn't very big. This was abused by cheap builders, which gave homeowners headaches and problems. Take, for instance, taking care of your lawn. While the builder would like to keep the lawns of the units that haven't been sold well kept, depending on the reserve amount, they may not have to pay for those units' lawns to be mowed themselves. Instead, the HOA could do it. One builder was known for being very cheap, and all of their HOAs would call us to complain that their lawns weren't being mowed or the snow wasn't being cleared because the builder wouldn't pay to maintain the units that weren't sold. Gets worse, though. Some builders would say in the rules that until enough units were sold, it was up to the current homeowners to make up any shortfalls. So, when someone bought a townhouse in a new development, their monthly fees would go from $250 to something crazy like $800. This was because of a special assessment that the board, which was controlled by the builder, made. The builder would then avoid answering their complaints, leaving us, the property management company, to handle them. At least one builder was probably sued for this. I left before the lawsuit resolved, but after seeing how shady builders were and the general horror stories of completed HOAs, I vowed never to buy a home in an HOA. Not me, but my dad fought with the HOA for 10 years. In the 1970s, when he bought the house, there was no HOA. Then one was made, and we didn't want anything to do with it. He was ready to pay for the road and sewer, but he didn't want to pay their fees or follow their rules. He went to court for more than 10 years to keep from being a member of the homeowners association. They did things like cut the house's sewer and water and let their stupid security guards bother them. To pay them off, he covered the front of the house with 2 huge Puerto Rican flags and made animal farm cuts and put them in the front lawn with the HOA board members' names on them. In the end, the court said he didn't have to join and he got a settlement. The HOA must have spent a lot of money going to court to fight him for years. Correct the spelling. It wasn't about the money either. It was only $300 a year. He said he owned his house on his own and loves to argue. I think he liked arguing with the HOA and making them mad. You want to watch the part 2? Click the link here. Thank you for subscribing, the likes, and comments. We're very happy to see you all in the comments too. Thanks for your support.